Hi, I'm Jamie. Welcome to my review of the Samsung UE65KU6020 65-inch Ultra HD 4K LED TV. Now, just before we get started, just want to say a big thanks to AO.com. Ordered the TV on the Friday and it was delivered on the Monday. They gave a 4-hour time slot and then a 1-hour time slot as it got closer to it. And just as always, the service was absolutely excellent. So the TV incorporates all the usual features you'd expect on a TV of this type. It's a smart TV, so as you can see the apps are just behind my head. It also has Freeview with 12 HD channels, and its standard refresh rate is 50 Hz, which means it's basically very good for watching sports and movies, because when there's any motion on the screen, it's nice and smooth. One of the interesting features that the TV has is HDR, which stands for High Dynamic Range. It's a relatively new technology in 2016, and essentially it describes an extremely good picture. So what HDR involves is basically very good contrast and very good true-to-life colours. Some people may not know exactly what contrast gets to on a TV, but what it means is the better the contrast, the deeper and the darker your blacks, and the brighter your whites. And essentially it's one of the most important factors in a very good display on a TV. So what's in the rather large box? I'm actually stood at the very edge of my room now just to fit it in. It's that big. But obviously you've got the TV itself, the stand that attaches. I will attach this just afterwards, but it's very simple. Got one bit just pops on the other. There's 4 screws go in at the back, and then this will connect to the back of the TV. And again, there is 4 screws that go in along here and underneath. The stand itself is very nice, silver finish, and they're just the screws to actually attach it. User manual, and then the accessory kit, it calls it. Essentially just remote control, some batteries, the power source, and then here they've actually got rid of the component and the AV cables and converted it into what looks similar to a 3.5mm jack. You might remember these colours from older TVs, but that's all that is. So they're just connectors if you need to use that, so it'll work with this TV. This is just to show you the stand itself. As you can see, 4 screws just go in there. It's just a Phillips screwdriver that you need. It's nice and simple. And then now this just needs to attach onto the back, and again there is 4 blue screws to do that. Now the TV is quite heavy, so you probably need someone to give you a hand doing this, especially as this is going to need lifting off the floor to actually connect the back. Okay, so we're all set up now. Just a word of advice: if you can get someone to give you a hand whilst you're setting it up, because the TV is quite heavy. What I actually did was turn the TV upside down when I was connecting this bit at the back, and again you can just see the screws there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whilst I'm at the back, I'll just show you what we do have on the back of the TV. So there's your power cord, some controls if you haven't got your remote, and then we have 1, 2 USB connections, a digital audio out. That's basically your optical connection if you're using the surround sound system. You've got 1, 2 and 3 HDMI connections. Your LAN connection if you don't have Wi-Fi. The TV itself does come with Wi-Fi as standard. And also, as I was talking about before, here's just your component and your AV in. It is now a 3.5mm jack. You may remember the old connections there. And then your antenna. So this is just to show you the initial setup that comes up on a TV. As soon as you turn it on, it automatically brings this screen up and asks you to connect to your own Wi-Fi. You just type it in using the remote. It then just asks you to read some of the privacy policy and terms and conditions. Again, I just agree to them, but if you want to read through them, be my guest. We're in the United Kingdom. And the TV source, so we're going to use, I've got Sky myself, so we'll be using a satellite box, which is connected by a HDMI, and obviously it's brought it off for us straight away there. And that was it, nice and quick, we're all ready. So I'll just show you quickly how to get to the settings. So you press the home button on the remote, and then just to the left gets you to the settings tab. Click OK. To open that up. You've got all the usual picture settings. You can change the picture mode, the picture size, sound settings. So here you can select your speakers, so whether you want to use the TV speaker itself or if you've got some speakers attached. you can select the audio out. One thing to note is there's no actual headphone socket on the TV, which is a 3.5mm jack to get audio out. So my speakers that I currently use are connected in that way, so they will no longer work, which is something just to bear in mind. You've got a network setting if you want to change your Wi-Fi system and support. One good thing to notice on system is the Eco solution, which the Eco sensor essentially it detects the brightness of the room and automatically adjusts the brightness of the TV, which is quite good. And then similarly, you've got the motion lighting, so that adjusts the brightness level according to the screen motion. Looks wise, obviously TVs tend to look quite similar, and this one doesn't disappoint. It's obviously gloss black around the outside. It's got a nice brushed aluminium stand. And the good thing about the stand actually is it has quite a small footprint for the size of the TV. So there are some 65-inch TVs that wouldn't fit the stand on this cabinet, but this one does it very well. Obviously it's very thin and it's not a curved TV, it is just totally flat. The remote is pretty standard. You've got your power button, source button for shuffling through the sources, obviously your number buttons, volume, channel, mute. It does have a sports button here, which basically just puts the sports mode on, and what that does is just changes the picture so it's more appropriate for sports, and also the sound quality apparently makes it sound more like you're in a stadium. And other than that, you've just got the usual buttons on the remote. The home button will basically bring up some of the usual sources that you might want to select from, and also some of the usual apps that people might use. There's a search button to search through apps, and also the settings you can access to change anything. If I just pop along to the apps button here, it will just bring up the main sort of smart TV home screen, where again you can search through any apps, look through the most popular ones and select anything you want. One point to note is that although there is plenty of apps, this isn't an Android TV. I know Sony do Android TVs where you can get some slightly different apps, but this doesn't include them. The speakers that come with a TV are absolutely fine. I do normally attach speakers to TVs myself, just because I like them to go a little bit louder and give a little bit more depth. The speakers that come on this are quite loud, however you can tell they're small, and therefore if you do normally add speakers to your TVs, I would suggest doing the same with this one. Now, what I watch mostly is movies and sports on the TV, and although this probably won't project very well onto YouTube, the picture on Sky HD is it's brilliant. Again, as I mentioned before, the frequency of the TV is great, so the picture's nice and smooth with the ball moving and the players running. So this is just on ITV HD now, and again the picture is brilliant. As you can see, the dark colours are very dark, and the brighter, lighter colours do project very well and very bright. Now, my usual TV that I have is it's 4K HD, but it's not got the HDR. I think the picture is possibly better on this, but I do think you'd have to have a very good eye to actually pick up on that and pick up on a difference. However, you can just say that the picture on this is outstanding. Okay, so having lived with the TV for about 7 days or so, I'm extremely happy with it. I have to say the picture quality is exceptional. I think comparing it to my non-HDR Samsung but still Ultra HD TV, I think there might be a slight difference in it. However, I'm not sure if that's just psychological. Both TVs do have a great picture, and I'm not too sure it would be worth upgrading from you know, a relatively new TV that doesn't have HDR to this one just for the HDR. The sound quality, as I say, from the speakers itself is fine, it will do, but I do have it linked up to a sound system, so that's something to bear in mind. As with all Samsungs, I think the interface of the TV is brilliant. I think it's far better than either Sony or Panasonic or any of the other brands. It's more intuitive and more attractive when you are scrolling through settings and menus. One thing to note is, obviously this is a flat TV. Now my normal TV is a curved one, and it wasn't something that I intended to buy initially, but it was just a good deal and I ended up getting that TV. Having gone back to the flat TV for a week, I actually do prefer the curved screen. So I would just, if you're looking at a new TV, I'd recommend trying out or going to see in the shop a flat screen versus a curved screen, and just see what you prefer. So on the whole, it's an absolutely brilliant TV. It's got exceptional picture quality, it's very easy to use, and I highly recommend it.